All right, hello everybody. Today we are going to talk about the different forms. So we have something called vertex form. And what's nice about vertex form is it tells you the vertex. So I could look at this and I could tell you without even looking at a picture that the vertex is 1, -16. And notice that's correct. Now, these other forms are also important and they tell me different pieces of information. And so it's good to know how to go from one form to another. And so that's our goal today. Can you go from vertex form to standard form to intercept form and display all three? Now to check my work, I am going to use the Desmos and type it in and just make sure I'm correct. But that's what's nice about vertex form. It tells you the vertex. Now, standard form, really, besides it telling me that it opens up, the only thing that really is of importance, from here is the y-intercept. And the y-intercept, looking at that, would be 0, -21. Okay, so that's what I get from this piece of information. And then, those are all standard form. Intercept form, oh, and I forgot. If I look at my graph, notice that the y-intercept is -21, okay? So that is one thing standard form is good for. And then finally, intercept form will tell me the x-intercept. So if I have x minus 5, remember, the solution for that, I need to find a happy medium for my font, would be x equals 5. And the solution for x minus 3, the x-intercept, would be x equals 3. And if I look at the picture, notice that the intercept is right here at, looks like they're counting by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. The intercept is here at 3 and at 5, okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one example for each and then let you finish. So let's start off with the first one. If I start you off in vertex form, how do you go to standard form? Just to make sure I have plenty of room, I'm going to zoom in. First thing I would do is I would copy down the problem. Oh, and I do have a square button. So if I type this in, that's a little excessive. I get y equals x minus 1, and that's squared, minus 16. Now, in order to put this in standard form, I need to distribute this. And x minus 1 squared means put it down twice. And if I take x minus 1 times x minus 1, which there's many different ways to do that, but you take x, not that one. So you take x times x, and that's x squared. You then take x times -1, and that is -1x. You then go to the -1 and distribute that, and that'd be -1x again. And then -1 times -1, that's +1. And then don't forget your minus 16. Doing the math there, I get y equals x squared. These two terms, -1x and -1x, combine to make -2x. And then 1 minus 16 is minus 15. So what that means is my graph should have a y-intercept of negative 15. Let's go find out. So 10, 12, 14, 16, that appears to be negative 15. Now I would encourage you to check your work. So there's the first one. And then I think it's x squared minus 2x minus 15. And looky there, they are the same thing. All right, so if you start with vertex form, standard form isn't that bad. It's just distributing. Now, I would encourage you to go to standard form first before you go to intercept form. So to get to intercept form, I'm going to retype this in, my standard form, and that's y equals x squared minus 2x, oops, man, minus 2x minus 15. And then this is where factoring comes into play. So remember, I am trying to find two numbers that multiply to negative 15, but add to negative 2. And that would be negative 5 and positive 3. Negative 5 times positive 3 is negative 15. Negative 5 plus positive 3 is negative 2. So my intercept form is x minus 5, x plus 3. Okay. So what that means is my x-intercepts should be 5, 0 and negative 3, 0. So let's go check. Let's go look at that graph. Looky there, 5, 0. Look at that, negative 3, 0. Remember, they're counting by twos. And then just to fully check, if I type this in, I should get the same thing. Uh-oh. Oh, I didn't type it in correctly. But if I had gotten something like this, I'd say, well, those aren't equal, so I messed up somewhere. There we go. Now see, they are all the same thing. The first one tells me the vertex. Vertex is 1, negative 16. See, 1, negative 16. The second one tells me the y-intercept, negative 15, right there. That's vertex form, that's standard form. And then intercept form tells me the x-intercepts, 5 and negative 3. And look at this. Negative 3 and 5. So they're all very useful, and they tell us different pieces of information. All right, now let's start with one. We'll start with one that's in intercept form. Okay. So I start with the intercept form, and I want to write that in this is in standard form, sorry. I start with the standard form, and I want to write that in intercept form. So I would factor. So I'd put negative 21 on top. There's no GCF. There's no A term. I put the negative 4 on bottom. And I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 21 and add to negative 4. And that would be negative 7 and 3. So then I get my factored form, y equals x minus 7 and x plus 3. So that means my x-intercepts are x equals 7 and x equals negative 3. Okay, so if I type this in and this in, and I could also just look at the graph here, notice it's 7 and negative 3. But if I type both of these into Desmos, they are the same graph, believe me. Okay, finally, how do you go to vertex form? It's easiest to go to vertex form if you are already in standard form. And there's a couple ways you could do this. You could just graph this and get the vertex. That's probably the easiest way. But the way I would do it is, first copy down the problem. And we are going to identify A is 1, B is negative 4, and C is negative 21. We don't need that for the formula. But remember, the formula to find the vertex is x equals negative b over 2a. So plugging in, I get negative 4 all over 2 times a, which a is 1. So negative 4 makes that a plus 4. 2 times 1 is 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that means on my graph, my x-intercept should be at 2. If I trace this down, it should be at 2. And notice it is. But now I need to find that y value. So to find that y value, I need to plug 2 back into the equation. So I need to put a 2 here and a 2 here and see what I get. So that'd be 2 squared, that'd be 4. And then 4 times 2 would be 8. And that's minus 21. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. Minus 21, that'd be negative 25. And if you look, it should say about negative 25. Negative 20, negative 22, negative 24. That'd be approximately negative 25. So I have the vertex. The vertex is 2, negative 21. Now when I write this as an equation, I go y equals, I capture the a value. My a value is 1. So I can put a 1 if I want. And then it's x. And then you copy down your h value. If this is a 2, this becomes a negative 2. And then you put the negative 21 on the outside. So I'm just going to double check. And I don't need this one. You don't need to put a 1 there if you don't want to. You can if you want, but I technically don't need it. So if I type all these in, and I always start with the one they give me, y equals x squared minus 4x minus 21. There's that one. And then I got this one, which is intercept form. It tells me the x-intercepts. Notice they are the same. And then this one, x minus 2 squared minus 21. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That is not the same thing. That's not good. Oh, it's negative 25. I looked at that number. It's negative 25. So change that to negative 25. This is why we check our work. Now, Ta-da, they are the same thing. Okay. Oh, well, kind of. That's way down there, 25. Now they're the same thing. See, I'm just clicking on that to show you that they are the same thing. All right, so first example, we started in standard form, or we started in vertex form, we went to standard form and intercept form. The next example, we started in standard form and we went to intercept form and vertex form. I will show you one more, and that would be starting in intercept form. So let's say you start here in intercept form. Okay, so first thing I would do is copy down the problem. And all you got to do is you got to take this and distribute it. Now the negative, I would just hold off on that. And distribute it at the end. So let's start off. We're going to take x times x. And that's x squared. And then I'm going to take x times -3. That's -3x. And then -5 times 3. That's -5x. And notice those combine. And then we'll take -5 times -3. That's plus 15. So putting all that together, I get y equals -x squared minus, and -3x and -5x is -8x plus 15. And then you distribute that minus, which all it does is negate everything. So that becomes a -x squared plus 8x and a minus 15. So I wrote this in standard form. The y-intercept should be -15. Let's go look. It looks to be 10, 12, 14, -15 right there. Okay, so I feel pretty good. Let's go ahead and type this in. Notice my intercepts are 3 and 5. I type this in, -x squared plus 8x minus 15. Oh, I forgot my negatives. They look pretty similar. I noticed that this needed flipped over, so it's because I forgot my negative. Now they're good. See, it's easy to make mistakes. They are the same thing. And then I'm going to copy this over here. So long story short, if you have standard form, the other forms are easy to find. So I would always start off by going to standard form first, if at all possible. All right, probably the easiest way would be to use that formula, -b over 2a. And notice that a, in this case, a is -1 because of that -x squared. B is 8. And we don't really need c, so I'm going to ignore that c is -15. And then I'm going to plug in to that formula that says to find the x value of the vertex, you take -b over 2a. Well, b is 8, so that becomes -8. And then a is -1. Do the math to get -8, and then 2 times -1 is -2. You take -8 divided by -2, and you get 4. So that means if I go over here to 4, 2, 4, the x-intercept or the vertex should be somewhere on that line. And it is. Okay, it looks like it's 4, 1, I think. Just to make sure, you just take 4 and you plug it in here into the x. So you do 4 squared is 16, negative, make it negative, so it'd be negative 16. And then 8 times 4 is 32. And you subtract 15. Let's see, negative 16 and negative 15 is negative 31. So 32 minus 31 would be 1. So do the operation to get 1. So I just found the vertex is at 4, 1. Which means I could write down this in vertex form. The vertex would be y equals, and my a value is negative 1. So I put negative 1. And then x, change my x value, that'd be minus 4, squared to make it a parabola. And then bring down my 1, be plus 1. Now, technically, you don't need a 1 there. You could just make that negative. That means negative 1. Let's go type that in and see if it's the same thing. Ah, beautiful. So they are the same thing. So I have some problems out here for you to complete. It's just practice going from one form to another. Good luck, and I hope you have a successful time with this. I'll see you later. All right, bye-bye.